Hey, it's Kaero. Welcome back to the channel. Fall rotation will occur with the release of the Magic the Gathering set Dominaria United. That's going to happen in September 2022. And with it, a lot of the key cards are no longer going to be playable from the current standard. Today, I'm going to be going over the top 5 cards that I believe will remain leaders in the format, and I would feel okay about crafting in MTG Arena. At the end, I'm also going to cover a couple cards that I think are not safe crafts and will not have support or remain good with the new set Dominaria United and the new standard that follows. If you enjoy the video or you get something out of it, I really appreciate you hitting the like button and subscribing. And if you have a different opinion about rotation, just be sure to let me know in the comments. Let's get started. Number 1, the Wandering Emperor. Since its release in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, the Wandering Emperor has been a powerhouse of a card. So much so that the card simply existing in the format can make opponents second guess their plays when a white-based deck lays down a 4th land and then just passes the turn. The ability for the Wandering Emperor to get into people's heads is something that we haven't really seen since Embercleave was around, and that's a powerful thing in itself. Aside from the psychological aspect of the card, the sheer versatility of it makes it incredible value at just about any point in the game. It can generate creatures, it can make creatures bigger, and it removes opposing creature threats at instant speed. This card will not only be playable in the new standard after rotation, but has a high probability of being an auto-include in most white-based decks. Number 2, Fable the Mirror Breaker. If you've been playing Standard, you know how powerful Fable the Mirror Breaker and its transformed counterpart Reflection of Kiki-Jiki can be. And there's no indication that it's going to be less powerful as time goes on, and we get even more targets to duplicate and make tokens with the Reflection in Dominaria United. I think it's very likely that Fable continues to be almost an auto-include in all mid-range decks with red in them, and in most control decks. The likelihood is very high that in Dominaria United, we're going to see a big bomb creature that will elevate Fable the Mirror Breaker to an even higher status than it already is. Should be noted though, one of the Reflection's more popular synergistic cards is rotating, and that's Goldspan Dragon. However, there are enough targets for this to still remain relevant as it is right now, even without Goldspan. And I think it'll only get better as new sets release with big new bomby creatures to copy. And speaking of bombs, number 3, Titan of Industry. Titan of Industry is currently the top pick for Mirror Breaker duplication along with Goldspan Dragon, as well as a great card on its own, generally even if you have to hard cast it on turn 7. Its sheer versatility means that you can choose 2 modes that benefit you the most when it comes in. Typically, you're going to choose the shield counter and a Rhino token, but its ability to get rid of troublesome enchantments and gain you life if you're in a desperate situation makes it a fantastic choice for ramp decks and a solid control win condition, especially when paired with counterspell protection or flicker effects. There's also no better reanimation target in the meta. I don't see Titan of Industry going anywhere. In formats of the past, Titan would be mostly limited to either mono green or at best a 2-color deck, but the plentiful treasure generation in the meta means it's castable in many different decks of all colors, making it widespread and versatile, and I would feel safe crafting this right now. Number 4, Tenacious Underdog. Tenacious Underdog has become a staple in black-based control decks as well as some mid-range decks. But what's great about it is that it's a 3-2 stat line on turn 2. That means it can issue some beatdowns early, even if you're playing control, and compete with aggro's 2-drops in combat. Trading a Tenacious Underdog with an opposing aggro creature almost always feels good because of the extra value that's gained in the mid to late game with its Graveyard Blitz ability. It's not an incredibly flashy card compared to, say, Titan of Industry, but its streamlined, straight-to-the-point design makes it one of the most efficient 2-drops in the meta, and just as the name says, I think the Underdog is going to remain tenacious in the new post-rotation standard. Number 5, Memory Deluge. Before midrange came to prominence in the streets of New Capenna Standard, you could count on Memory Deluge being in most every control deck with blue in it. 4 mana to draw 2, and being able to filter those draws with Scry is an extremely powerful way for control decks to find answers or finishers. And other card draw spells have a hard time competing with this. The most notable card in a similar vein and power level was Gravenlore, which saw a decent amount of play in Kaldheim and Strixhaven standards, but the flashback ability of Memory Deluge makes it the best choice for pure control deck card draw. If we get a lot of enablers for building full control decks instead of mid-range in Dominaria United, you can expect Memory Deluge to stay playable and be the card draw spell of choice in blue-based control decks. Now that we've gone over the top 5 cards that will still remain relevant in the new standard, let's look at some bad bets, in my own personal view. First, we have Giada Font of Hope. Most angels are rotating out of standard, including Righteous Valkyrie, Linvala Shield of Seagate, Ferja's Retribution, and Ferja herself. I think it's close to impossible that we see enough angels to rebuild this deck in Dominaria United alone. That being said, I think Giada Font of Hope, though it's a good card, is a bad card to craft right now because all evidence points to a loss of this tribe's support in the new standard, unless we suddenly get 5 new great angel cards in Dominaria United alone. And secondly, we have Hinata Dawn Crowned. Hinata has been very powerful ever since its release in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and the cost reduction for each target when casting spells with Hinata on the field has enabled Shatterskull Smashing, March of Swirling Mist, and even single target spells like Negate, Dragon's Fire, and others to become much more efficient than they would be if Hinata wasn't on the field. With rotation, though, Hinata is losing its finisher. Jeskai Hinata has always been based around casting a 2-mana Magma Opus, which will no longer be possible. Also, the Goldspan Dragon loss pushes Hinata's power level down even further. Hinata is a great card, but the loss of these synergies will result in a lower power level after fall rotation. Also noted should be the loss of Expressive Iteration, which is a great turn 2, turn 3 play in this deck, which is also rotating. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up, consider subscribing, and leave a comment below if you have anything to add. Thank you. Have a great day.